Hello everybody, welcome to the live stream now. It is literally 3:15 here in the UK. Let me know where are you watching this right now. Okay, I can see all your comments over here. I can see everybody tuning in and chatting away already. It's nice to see you all. In fact, you know what? Let me put the chat on the screen as well so people can enjoy themselves seeing on the screen on the chat as we're happening. Look at this. USA, India, Denmark, Poland, Florida, Quebec, Canada, Netherlands, Indiana, USA. Whoa, you must be awake quite early. Well, actually, is it 9 a.m. something like that in US right now? Whoa, Guatemala, Croatia, Virgin Beach, Serbia, Minnesota, Indonesia. Wow, there is literally the whole the timeline across the world literally here. Bulgaria, yeah, 9 a.m. USA right now. 10 a.m. Athens, India, 10:16 a.m. Well, basically what we're going to have a chat about today is some of your questions, and if I can help you in a way, I would love to do that. I'm going to show you some other questions that I've been sent here on the screen, but I've got a lot of recurring and the same questions over and over again, and I think it's really nice when, even if you might not have this question, you're going to look at this and think, do you know what, you might get an idea about your build, or somehow how I can help about your build. Sometimes answering other build questions, you might get that. We're going to answer that in a minute there now. And I'm going to talk about another thing, maybe perhaps if we have time, about the future plans on the channel, some of the things that you are probably going to be excited to see, some of the projects that have been working in the background, just a little bit of a behind the scenes, because if you know how YouTube works, you might not be interested, or maybe you're even more interested. But if you don't know, there's some of the just interesting way how this channel and everything works, you know. There's videos coming on the channel, and then there's all this behind the scenes that works in order to actually produce the videos and to get it all working and so on. Well, there is a lot of questions coming in. People are typing away, so I've put the stream as low latency as possible, so hopefully what you can see on the questions and all that will be quite nicely in sync. Let me get this added to that pop-out chat. But today's video is actually sponsored by WhoKeys. So if you don't know what or who WhoKeys is, then let's hear a little sponsored segment from WhoKeys.
Looking for a cheap way to license your Windows? Check out WhoKeys through the links in the video description. Make sure to use the code TN20 to get a 30% off. Paste the license to the activation settings and you're all done. This license is for Windows 10, but you can upgrade it to Windows 11 for free. They also offer Microsoft Office 19 license. Use the same code TN20 to get a 30% off. Check out whokeys.com in the video description below.
Okay, there we go. Now we have a chat there as well, so you can see, and I'm getting some people's questions there as well. So now you should be able to see your questions on the screen. If you haven't answered the poll yet, we can see there's 80 votes. And people are planning to upgrade. Okay, so that is interesting. I'm going to land straight away with questions from there. And I can see people are actually enjoying the WhoKeys. Budget, create a PC build, work great. Bought the key from Microsoft there too. I've bought like 10, I think, even more. They always work, and like just $16 or something like that, whatever it costs. With my code you get it off, that's no problem. By the way, I don't get paid any extra if you use that code loads more. Some people think that, you know, I'm affiliated with them. It doesn't work like that. WhoKeys, we have a deal with WhoKeys that they pay like per sponsored segment, and we agree a certain amount of these segments per month, and that's how I get paid. So if you buy loads or buy nothing, it doesn't really matter to me, but I'm just happy to see that people actually save money over there. I'm going to end the poll there. It's interesting to see that people are actually thinking about upgrading. 86 votes now. Wow, people have voted. 72% people are thinking about upgrading. Well, let's make sure that you actually make the right decisions. If you you can see there the results there. Oh, I didn't know that came to the actual comments. It's nice to see that there. If you have a question for me, tag @technotice there on the chat, because then you can see. I see some people did it already, but sometimes the chat just runs so fast and it's so hard to see what your question actually is. But I'm gonna start straight away from here. There is LC Production. I need your help. i5 12600K or i7 12700K for editing 4K 60 frames per sec footage. That's Canon R6. I don't know if this is 422 10-bit or not. I'm not sure if R6 does 422 10-bit. If it is H.265, either of these will do very, very good. But don't go with the 12700K LS Production. That is a huge mistake, because if you go with a 13600K, I know it's an i5 as well, but if you haven't seen that video on my channel yet, i5 13600K is actually better than the 12700K. Have I released that video yet, or is it still in the editing queue? I don't know. There's about 12 or 15 videos in the editing queue, and we're just so behind in trying to get them down there. But LC Productions, that's the advice I would give. Georgi Ivanov is saying, I am considering between 3090 versus 4080 for 3D rendering. Blender, the price for 3090 is $1,000, but the 3080 is $1,300. What's your advice? To be honest, if you can get the 3090 for $1,000, go with the 3090, because if you're a 3D creator, that VRAM will be quite a good option for you. The VRAM upgrade, 24 gigabytes, is a little more than 16 gigabytes, so that's that. Although the 4080 is more powerful in terms of the RT cores and the CUDA cores, so if you're rendering something in Blender or something like that, yeah, you said Blender, then that will be better there. Although what I have seen right now is that it's very hard to find the 3090 at $1,000. I'm seeing all the 3090s. I literally made a video recently about that, but the 3090, I haven't released it yet, it's just in the editing queue. The 3090 is about 13 or something like that dollars, and that's very, very hard to, justify. And when it's that price, go with the 4080, sorry. If you can get 3090 for $1,000, go with that one. Smash Tech is saying, ask @technotice, why is your channel so underrated? That is a good question. I'm going to pin that question because that is a really, really good question, Smash Tech. If anyone's got an answer for that, I would love to know the answer for that. There is... I need some help. Autopath Frame, ask the question. Yeah, if you have. Overkill Audio Inc. says, would love to see more videos on budget creator PC builds and especially Windows setup tuning for 4K editing, video tips and tricks. I am literally, just to answer that question there, I'll just pin this question now so you know what I am actually answering right now. So you can, basically, I have about 4 or 5 videos about budget builds going on. You know, the best bang for buck creator PC builds that you usually see in every single video listed down in there, and I'm often saying go check them out. I am literally making an update guide for that, and right now you can get quite a lot of more performance for the same budget price points, whether it's 750, 1500, 2.5, or 5, 4 grand, something like that. You can get much more performance now in 2023. So I have filmed the videos already, all the upgraded and lists as that. I'm just optimizing them, and we're editing the second part of the video. Hopefully they will all be released in the third week of February, something like that. We can get them out there, but they will be there. Plus I've got $1,000 and a $1,300 PC builds out there, so they're coming, just getting there. Okay, let's answer this question there. Is saying, I want to upgrade, but I want to upgrade, from AMD 5600X to Ryzen 5950X. I have 64 gigs of RAM and then 560. What do you think? Yeah, go for it. I think you can get the 5950X quite cheap right now, especially if you can sell your 5600X for $100, $150. something like that, you'll get quite a good, very good actually performance boost in there. I'm not sure what cooler you're running, David, but that will give you quite a good boost as well. Because you have all the motherboard and RAM in there, there's no reason really to go Intel 12th or 13th gen. I think that's a good shout there. So we've got the gearbox here. Got a question: are M.2 drives compatible forwards and backwards? Like, can you use Gen 3 in a Gen 4 pod? What about the other way? Yes, they're all backwards and forwards compatible, if that makes sense. So if you do have a Gen 3 drive, you can put it in a Gen 4 pod. It will work fine, but it will be limited to the Gen 3 speeds. And the same if you've got a Gen 4 NVMe, you can put it in your Gen 3 pod, but you will be limited to the max sequential speed of Gen 3, if that makes sense, even though your Gen 4 M.2 can go faster. But sometimes what you do have an advantage of putting a Gen 4 NVMe onto Gen 3 drive, or sometimes even in an enclosure, something like that. I've got a video coming up as well very soon. Very soon sometimes means like a month, but it feels soon. If you've got an enclosure, and even though this is 10 gigabits in speed pod and you'll be limited, sometimes it's worth putting a Gen 4 drive in there just because of the random 4K or random read and write speeds will be faster, and Gen 4 drive will perform faster, even though the sequential speed will be capped at certain levels. Mike Nick 3 Customs is saying, should I go for 4070 Ti or 4080 for content creation? Depending what you're doing, but most likely the 4070 Ti will be enough for you, especially for the price point right now. I'm looking at the market. The 4080 is about $500 or something like that more expensive, $1,300, something like that. The 4070 you can get about $800, something like that, which is 4070 Ti you can get about $800. That is a really, really, really good price, especially when you compare it to the price of 3080, 12 gigs or something like that. It will perform close to that, but is much cheaper at the moment, just looking at Amazon prices, something like that. Ali Abdali saying, a video on Intel Arc GPUs, can you use it as a second GPU? Would it be helpful as a video encoding and decoding video? Yes, it would be. If you don't know, LTT actually did make a video about that, so there is a video about that on the channel. I have been trying to get hold of the Arc GPUs, and I've been working with Intel, and the thing is, Intel's saying there's such scarce stock of the Arc A770. I'm also working on the A380 review, so they're coming out soonish. Again, soonish, who knows when. So there we go. Pavan Kumar is saying, if you want a tip of the top cream of a crop PC right now, how much would it cost? I am also working on partnering up with a very big channel. I don't want to say who yet, because there's some final things finalized, but let's say it's a double digit and it's a big M next to it. They've asked for a PC build, and if that is going to go happen, then it's probably going to be an insane build. And if you want the top of the cream, it depends like how much you want to spend on some of the fans and M.2 storage, but you can get absolutely ridiculous PC build, roughly around $8,000. That will be just max everything, right? I know that because I've literally just today been putting a price list together, like what would something like that cost. Boom. Georgie K is saying, is 13700K Gigabyte Gaming X DDR4 4070 Ti 64 gigs of DDR4 3200 megahertz 1000 watt Hydro PSU 2TB Samsung 980 Pro and 500 gigabyte the same SSD for OS Noctua NHU14A or NHT15 good combos? Yes, you've selected very, very well. I'd say if you want to save a little bit of cash, try swapping out the Samsung 980 drives with Team Group Cardia Z440 drives because they are a little bit cheaper. They're not as fast in the sequential read and write speeds. They're about 4.5 gigabytes per second, right? But they have a much higher terabytes written spec, like 2 or 3 times higher, which means that if you're a content creator, you're dumping a lot of drives in there, a lot of footage on there, like gigabytes and gigabytes, hundreds of gigs a day, then they will last much longer than the Samsung drives because their just durability is a little bit more rated. And the good thing is they're actually cheaper as well, so you can do that. In terms of cooling, the NHU12A and the NHD15, go with the NHD15 because it is a little bit more performance on that cooler. I know it's not as small as the NHU12A, but for the same price point, really, the NHD15 is a better cooler, and for the 13700K, it can go slightly hot. That's what I would do. Okay, this is an interesting question here. What do you think about future stability of Mac Mini M2 in future and longevity? By the way, would be better with beard. Love you. I would be better with a beard. I've tried it, but it's so uncomfortable. So I'm not going to do a poll and should I have a beard or not, but I'll have. What do I think about the future longevity? Well, I think depending how much you're spending, right? I think if you're in the $600 price point and you're getting the Mac Mini M2 right here, and you're thinking, do you know what, I want just as much performance out of this as possible, I think it's all right. We can go into a complete another question. What is the upgradability, and should this be upgradable, and we can do all of that. But this is really for people who are on Apple, and if we are comparing the same price point, Apple versus PC, that is another, topic really. But I personally think PC would win. I'm literally doing like rendering tests now on seeing if this is better than a PC for the same price point, like $1,300 or $1,200, and so $1,300 and $700, something like that. No, what is the base model? It's $600, isn't it? Yeah, for the $600, what would be the best? And we'll see. The M2 and M2 Pro, there is not that much of a difference there in terms of performance, what I've seen so far, but I'll have to do some more testing. There is a lot of questions. This is a good comment again. YouTube account is saying, is Intel 13400 enough without dedicated GPU for making TikTok shorts, Twitter videos, 1080p videos, color grading, text addition, transitions? So here's the thing. If you're just cutting the footage, by the way, 13400, go with the 13500 CPU if you can, because that one has the 2 media engines inside, because it has the UHD 770, which is the lowest. I've got this here. I've filmed the review of this as well, but again, we've got that in the queue of editing this. Go with the 13500. It's got better media engines, better iGPU inside, and it will be good for just cutting. As soon as you start adding a color grade and something like that, especially text and transitions and so on, it might not be enough, but any dedicated GPU you might have will be fine for that. Okay. Is Arc A380 good enough for Blender and DaVinci compared to GTX 1650? The price at Malaysia is around $799, which is cheaper than the GTX 1650. But the thing is, the Arc A380 right now, I can't even get the Blender benchmarks done. It's not 100% stable and utilized for Blender, so I wouldn't recommend that. I couldn't even get a benchmark done because it just crashed or wouldn't start, so it doesn't work so well on Blender yet. This is a good question here as well. Azway K. Cool is saying, how important is the GPU in terms of performance in After Effects, especially with these plugins like transitions, etc.? Well, flipping heck, I just lost all of it. Where are we? Goodness me, I'm so far behind. After Effects is not really utilized or optimized for a GPU. So even if you have a really good GPU, it doesn't matter so much. Much better upgrade for After Effects would be if you have a CPU or RAM upgrade. That will be much better in there. Although there are certain effects that are accelerated on the GPU, if you're doing that in After Effects. If you're doing a lot of that, then you know, try to get a little bit of a better GPU. But I'd put my money on CPU, GPU. Issue Eber is saying, best budget cooler for 13600K. The Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120X. It's like about $47 or $40, something like that, and you literally can't beat that. It's like almost as good as it is actually sometimes better than the Noctua NHD15, which is just ridiculous. I'm just gonna unpin this and say, guys, tag me if you have a question at Techno, so you can I can actually see this, okay, because there's so many things go past, and then if I see the orange, I know this is an actual question. Which full tower case would you recommend for a 4090? Polti Masaki is saying 4090. I'm thinking of Corsair 5000D Airflow, but Fractal Meshify XL, but I'm a bit scared due to this huge size. Yeah, to be honest, any of the full towers will fit it. Corsair is fine. There is also, look at some of the Fantex. Well, some of the Fantex cases, depending where you put the AIO. Fantex P600S. There is also some of the new cases are coming out as well. There's the NZXT H7 Flow now out there. Height Y60 you can put in there as well, but then you'll have it vertically mounted GPU, which maybe isn't so good for creators because you kind of can't use any of the other PCIe slots unless you're running like a smaller some kind of card in there. Then you might be able to do that. Oh my word, so many questions again. It's nice. Let's do it. Prediction the Gains is saying, does a 3900K have better performance in any way than the 3900KF? I understand that there's an iGPU, but does it add performance? So Prediction that Gains, yes, it does add performance in certain things. It doesn't add performance in terms of CPU performance. What I mean by that, you're not going to get higher single core, multi-core speeds, but what you get a huge benefit is in video editing, and Intel QuickSync is actually in DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, even After Effects sometimes. The iGPU has killer media encoders in there, and just so you know, they are much better than even NVIDIA encoders. Sorry, that's decoders. Encoders are actually better sometimes for NVIDIA because they can do AV1, but Intel iGPU can't right now. So you do get like the timeline performance for video editing, which is much better, but in terms of CPU performance, no. Give me a suggestion, B660 motherboard for 12700. MD's Swapnil is saying, go with a Z as 690 motherboard, and then your 12700K is, so 12700 is actually open power limits, so PL1 and PL2 are open, which means that it will basically run like a 12700K. You'll get much better performance. Game Killer is saying, will 12700K with 4080 be good combo? Depending what you're doing, but yeah, but actually change the 12700K with the 13600K because it's better than 12700K. Film low photography. Is the Ryzen 7 5700 good, or should I wait for the 7000 series? Only for photography, thanks. Yeah, 5700G is pretty good, but then at the same time, any of the 13th gen Intel is actually good as well. Go with the 13600K, for example, and then leave your GPU, whatever you already have, upgrade that, and that's fine, because you can't anyway upgrade your 5000 series to the 7000 series. Go with Intel and you get pretty good boosting performance there. Issue there is saying, can we pair MSI Tomahawk Z 690 DDR4 with 13600K? Yes, you can. You might need to update the BIOS, but you can. Medhi Hajarian is saying, can you make a video on how to undervolt 13th gen for air cooler users? I'm probably not going to make that video just because it will be fine on your air cooler if you get like the Peerless Assassin cooler from Thermalright, but undervolting will also introduce instability, which I think for a creator is not a good thing for that. Production the Gains sent $2. Thank you very much. You're awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. No, thank you for coming along. And look, you don't have to donate, by the way. This is free. Hello, sir. Is my M2 SSD speed drops down if I use more than one SSD? What happens with the lanes? Can you help me? 12600K is my CPU. Autoframe is saying, I'm not sure what your motherboard is, but that shouldn't really happen. I don't know how you have connected these, but it should be fine, really. Stefan Vijay for photography is saying, is it worth upgrading Ryzen 9 5900X to 32 core 5975WX for Lightroom editing, large batches, wedding stuff? Absolutely not, Stefan. Please don't do that. That is a really bad idea, because you're going to have a much different motherboard, maybe even different RAM, a lot more RAM. It's not going to be good. For that, go with the Intel 13900K and you'll get a much better performance in the large batch editing in Lightroom, especially if you color grading and so on, faders and all that. Adding this, it will be much better doing that, especially for the price point, because 5975WX, let me see how much does that cost. That CPU costs $3,000. Flipping heck. Absolutely, leave it. Do not do that. Much better is to go that way. Alex Shans is saying, what should I consider upgrading first? I have a Z690 MSI board, 12600K, 3060 Eagle OC, 32 gigs of RAM, and two 1TB Crucial 5 Plus M.2 SSD. Alex Shans, I'm not sure what you are doing in terms of, are you doing video editing, photo editing, 3D, something like that. If you're doing video editing, I would recommend upgrading your CPU. Go with the likes of 13700K, which is actually better than the 12900K, but cheaper. Go with that one. That's a huge upgrade. Hopefully your cooler can actually, cope with that. Then we've got the GPU. The GPU, when you can upgrade that one to 4070 Ti. That probably makes the most sense if you are doing maybe video editing, DaVinci Resolve, or 3D, something like that, but that would be that. Also, 32 gigs of RAM, you can upgrade that, but I would upgrade the CPU first if you can. That you'll see the most performance boost in there. But have a look at your RAM usage, because you might be RAM bottlenecked as well. Fraved Moments is saying, is MSI Pro Z690A good with 12700K? No! Go with the 13600K, but then it will be fine. The motherboard is fine, but don't go with 12700K, because it's cheaper, the 13600K, and actually better. Goalless, is Mac Mini M2 Pro and 32 gigs of RAM good for editing in Premiere Pro and After Effects? If you want to go Mac, sure, but for that price, that is like, what, 32 gigs of RAM, so that's extra $200. That's like $1,600. You get a much better PC for the same price. All right. Simper Gain is saying, what RAM should I buy? DDR4 64 gigabytes of 3200 CL16 or DDR4 64 gigabytes 3600 CL18. I would go with the 3600 CL18. If you haven't seen my DDR4 tests, I saw the 3600, even though you have a bit of a slower latency there, I saw it work much better there in that case, so I'd go with that. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Alright, what's next there? Gearbox. I am wanting to upgrade my whole system, wanting to make an air-cooled 3600K system. Is having 7 to 9 case fans real loud? Should I just go water-cooled? They're not loud if you tune them correctly. Have a look at my fan tune guide. You can get them completely fine. If you want air-cooled system, go with the likes of Thermalright Peerless Assassin cooler or Noctua NHT15. Very high-end cooler, as high-end cool as you can for air cooling. Or even the Deepcool AK620 is a good cooler as well. Frame moments. Is 2x 16 gigabytes RAM better than the single 32 gigs of stick? Yes, it is better, because most CPUs will run dual channel and you'll get much better performance on dual channel, because your 32 gigs of RAM will essentially run like half the speed. That's that. Hello guys. Whoa, there's a lot here going on. Tag me again if you have any questions, but what I want to do is have some questions answered here, because there's some very interesting questions here as well. Let me put that chat in here as well, so you can see that as well. Alrighty. Okay, maybe that won't work. Okay, I'll leave that. So first of all, there is a question from Sebastian Ziertarski, who sent me a message on Instagram, DM'd me. I don't really keep up as much with the DMs on Instagram, but I thought this is an interesting question, because a lot of people might be wondering the same thing, but actually I'm making a mistake in terms of how much this would cost. So I don't know if this is the right way to communicate with you, but I am an architect and I need a new computer, mainly for CAD and 3D rendering. I'm also using Blender and would love to have 2 GPU in my system. I'm not sure why you would prefer 2 GPUs instead of just more GPU power in your system, because sometimes 2 GPUs is not as good as a single much better GPU. The case need to be the smallest possible for an ATX motherboard, so I am interested in the Fractal Torrent Compact. My wife works from home and we happen to share the office corner in our living room. With the actual prices for used GPU in France, I hesitate between the A3080 and the A4000 workstation GPU. The 3080 is more powerful but draw a lot more power. The A4000 draws less power, has more RAM, and is only 1 slot thick. Do you think that the Torrent Compact would house a dual GPU system, dual A4000 or dual A380? Now the Compact of Fractal Torrent, let's see, Compact, let me see there it is. Obviously the 3080 would have to be Founders Edition. What about temps, as I want to stay air cooling? Thank you for the answer. I suppose my question is a tough one, blah blah blah. Okay, so here's the thing. Having a 2 A4000s or 3080 is not actually as good as having a single 4090. Here's what I mean. I know this is a used market, and you might get deals on the used market and you're a little bit gambling, but if we go Amazon France, right, and we are looking for the price of A4000, it's roughly about 1,000 euros, 1,100, something like that, right? It is very, very small. And then we are looking at the price of RTX 3080. You're getting this for around 900, about $900 to $1,000, something like that. It's a little bit cheaper. It's got a lot more power. All right, but if you're looking at the price for RTX 4090, you can get this for around 2,100 something like that, $1,000, and this will be a much better GPU, right, for your system, because you would have a lot more GPU power, especially if you compare it to a 4000. You will have a little bit less VRAM than to a 4000s, right? But the actual power consumption would be much better as well. I know this is a 450 watt GPU, and you think, flipping heck, this is going to be really, hot, electricity consuming and so on. But actually, it's very efficient. The A4000 might be even worse. I think this is 200 and something. Let's have a look at this. Just to remind myself, what's the TGP for that? It is 140 watts. Okay, so 2 A4000s would be more power efficient, but the RTX 4090 would still be much better. So what I would do is try to get an RTX 4090. I know this is big, but then in your system this would make much more sense. Production, the Gains is saying, if I buy 7000 megahertz DDR5 RAM but have 666 megahertz motherboard, will the RAM run at the max speed the motherboard is capable of? What I would do is don't even buy 7000 megahertz RAM, because you'd only need the 13th gen, most likely will be the only CPUs that run that. By that I mean, if you get 12th gen, it might not run that because the memory control is worse, and the Ryzen 7000 memory control is worse as well. But I would stick to the 5600 mega transfers per second, because then your memory controller and the RAM can run Gear 1, and you'll get better, more stable performance as a creator there. So I wanted to show that question there. Then there was another question here. I would need a laptop that has 100% or close sRGB, and that can easily handle editing 4K, video editing without lag, smooth playback, and has a respectable export time. I don't care much about 6K, so I plan on getting a PC near future anyways. I just need a laptop that can easily perform 4K editing without any issues. I would like to get a budget laptop, so anywhere from under 1,000 or 1,500 Canadian dollars. I was thinking of getting the Lenovo Legion 5, the AMD Ryzen 7 5800H, RTX 3060 at I really appreciate your time. So basically, whatever laptop you're getting, try to get Intel CPU. Just because if you're doing 4K editing, video playback there, you're saying smooth playback. If you want that, you'll get that much better performance with Intel CPU, because Ryzen CPUs don't have an iGPU that supports QuickSync, so it will be much better doing it with an Intel CPU. That will be much better. What SSDs and hardware would I recommend for this? This is Ryan Helmet is saying, go answering this live on YouTube right now. Answering. I would go with the Team Group Kadia Z440 drives. That they're much cheaper and more like terabytes written specs there as well. I think, was that all in here? Yeah, let's go back to our systems here. There is Uncle Hola is saying, will the Ryzen 5600G and B660 motherboard support Gen 4 GPU, or will it just run at Gen 4 speeds? It will run at Gen 4 speeds, because even though your motherboard will support Gen 4, your CPU is the one that actually decides which lanes will the motherboard chipset run, basically. So it will run at Gen 3. Adrian Sowaka is saying, I'm now on i9 9900K RTX 2060, 32 gigs of RAM, want to edit 4K 60-bit from FX3 in Premiere. Is upgrade to an i7 13 Gen 16 gram enough with a 2060, or maybe for M2 Mac better media engines? No, M2 Mac will not do a better job there. I would go with a 13th gen i7, 16 gigs of RAM. I have done the actual like Premiere Pro tests for these already, but again, they're being edited in the editing queue, so we just have to wait for these to come out. Is my pants? My audio is clipping. Hey, sorry about that. Is that audio better now? Gearbox, thank you very much for letting me know my audio is clipping. Why didn't anyone say that to me before? Hey, is that better now? Why have you been suffering the bad audio all this time? I could have given you much better audio. Okay. Oh, Manuel RSA, I did say it. Sorry, didn't see that. I only now saw it. Thanks for tagging me so I could actually see that. Money Monk is saying, does an i5 13500, is it good for Premiere Pro and After Effects? And does it need a good cooler? It needs a bit of a better cooler than the i5 12600K, for example. But it is better than the 12600K. It is very, very good. But if you get something the likes of Thermal Ride Peerless Assassin, I've got this. I'm going to link it in the description below because sorry about that. I've mentioned it so many times here. And let me see, Peerless Assassin. I'm going to link it in the description here so that you can actually, where are we? I think it's somewhere over here. There we go. So people can check it out. Okay, there we go. It's in the description now. You can check that out if you want. It's very budget air cooler and super, super good as well. Andruja Nike is saying, will you be doing a monitor review anytime soon, especially dual purpose monitoring, content creation and gaming? Kindly consider, big fan of your channel. Thank you very much for your kind words and being the fan of your channel. By the way, if you're watching this live stream right now, hit that like button. I know it doesn't take much from you and you might be, already doing some other stuff, but hitting that like button actually makes a huge difference in actually how the video spreads. So I can see 59 likes right now. 62, there we go. People are liking this right now. That's fantastic. 66, woo! We're getting those likes in. Thanks, guys. Monitor reviews. Yes, I have been putting them off slightly because I've asked for some monitor reviews and I've put back some of the reviews just because a lot of the monitors are like gaming purely only, and I'm really not interested in that at all. For example, Gigabyte has, I think there's an Aorus 48 inch, like a TV monitor, it's a TV, something like that. But the thing is, it's like for gaming only, and a lot of the content creation specs are like much further down the line. So I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to see maybe content creation first and gaming second, that type of monitor. Yes, I'd be interested in that. But when it's gaming first and content creation second, I kind of don't see the point of that. Money Monk is saying, I am on a budget for $1,100 whole PC. Which CPU should I go for After Effects and Premiere Pro? 12600K. I've got, oh, actually you might be getting a 13600K for that budget as well. Just wait for my video to come out. I've literally, I'm finishing this off now. It will come out next week probably. So wait for that video because I'm talking about from $500 to $1,300 best bang for buck creator PC, what you can get. It's coming out very, very soon. Jibril Huge is saying, my motherboard doesn't support the iGPU on my 12900KS. I did manage to pick up an A770 and wanted to know if the encoders, decoders on the A770 are comparable to the iGPU. So here's the thing. In a way, the A770, or actually on this paper, on the specs, the A770 media engines are much better than the iGPU. It can do 8K 60 frames per second, decoding, AV1, H.265, and 4. It will be much better. But the thing is, it's not yet supported on the likes of Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve. It is a little bit supported, but in Premiere Pro, it is not supported yet because just the drivers and how it works. So even though it's very, very similar kind of GPU, media engines, you won't get quick sync on the Premiere Pro timeline if you're looking to get that. So which motherboard are you running, Jibril, by the way? Just tag me, I'd like to know. Is it one of the MSI motherboards that doesn't support iGPU? Or is it the Asus Apex? Which one are you doing? Okay, Gaurav. Hello, sir. I'm upgrading CPU for video editing. Currently have Ryzen 3 3200G B6450 system. Do I simply upgrade the CPU or upgrade the system overall? Well, depends what CPU you want to upgrade. That depends on slowly that, and let me know what you are doing as well. Hi, this is Dibiendu Bhattacharjee. I'm sorry for butchering your name. Hi, I do After Effects in some template playback, not showing real time in 1080p. I have a 13600K, 32 gigs of RAM, 750 Ti GPU. Will upgrade GPU some kind. What should I upgrade in the PC? Have a look if your RAM is bottlenecked, because often RAM previews will load it on the RAM and you might just run out of 32 gigs of RAM. Just have when you see stuttering on the playback, or the likes of Task Manager, and just see how much RAM you're using. Also make sure that your After Effects settings have been set so that it's not reserving much RAM for other applications. For example, I think the default is 6 gigs, so you're actually available to have 26 gigs of RAM for After Effects, but you could get it down to 2, so you get a few gigs extra RAM for After Effects usage. So that's what I would do first. Have a look if your RAM is bottlenecked. If it is, then upgrade the RAM first, because the 13600K is a pretty good CPU. Whoa, suddenly loads of questions here. Jibril is saying, I'm running the Z790 Godlike. I actually just saw my video. You saw my video on the Z790 Godlike, which is why I started thinking about that. Yeah, that's true. You are running a killer board there. Yeah, very interesting. Tech with Mazam is saying, can I use Blender, Unity, Photoshop in i5 12400? Absolutely. Mist. Also using SickFlow fan, which are noisy. They are SickleFlow. This is Cooler Master SickleFlow, if I'm not mistaken. Please suggest how and what should I upgrade first, using Foundry and Nuke, which is VFX software, and Resolve. Currently working on 2K to 4K resolution. What's your current system at Mist? And where's it gone now? Where did it go? Oh my word. Someone sent $5. Oh my word. Am I so far behind? Goodness me, I have to be faster on these. Sorry. Joshua Hurst sent $5. Dude, thank you very much. This is insane. I just built the best bank for work PC for creators, installed Linux and DaVinci Resolve. Pretty painless build. Thanks, man. No, thank you, dude. You just sent me $5 to just say thanks for me. You're insane. Thank you for doing that. This is ridiculous. Okay, I'll try to stay up to date with that. Okay, Mist is saying, I have an X570 Pro Art Creator. I have paired it with 5700X and 3060, 4000 megahertz, 32 gigs of RAM. Okay, so you're doing visual effects. 5700X is pretty okay CPU. You could get quite a big jump to 5900X. But I'm doubting. I would upgrade just to keep your motherboard and them the same. Upgrade. I'm not sure where you're located, right? Here's what I would do. If you really want to, sometimes you don't really know what would work in your workflow because there's so many things that matter there, like the codecs you're using, the other thing, like lots of other things around it. What I would do is, if you have Amazon nearby, buy the 5900X or 5950X, right? Change it up on the CPU, use it for a little bit and see if you get any performance increase. If your performance hasn't improved loads, send it back and then get an RTX 4070 Ti, because then you'd have a lot more power for the GPU department. So that's what I would do right now. YK guy is saying, how do I feel about DDR4 versus DDR5 on Raptor Lake right now? I think this is awesome that Raptor Lake supports DDR4, and this just paves an awesome like upgrade path to you. Go with the 13600K, for example. Use your DDR4 already. You're going to get insane performance increase there. Sharias, that's right. Harris is saying, what? Sorry, that name, it was very wrong. What are you using, Cat 7 or Cat 5 Ethernet cables? To be honest, I've recently looked into it and I do need to upgrade my Ethernet cables because I don't even know what they are. They're all sorts of mix match and I'm getting sometimes internet drops out, so that's that. Issue is saying, which CPU is better, single core performance, AMD or Intel? It doesn't really matter the brands, it's more of the model, which model you have, because sometimes 7600X, for example, from AMD has a much better single core performance than the likes of i5 13500. We have Ariduha is saying, recently I have upgraded my system and your content helped me a lot in choosing the parts. Thank you very much. No, yes, absolutely. You're very, very welcome. Thanks for sticking by and looking at my footage. YK guy is saying, tech notice, how about for building a new system? My current build still has DDR3, so I find it hard to choose. Okay, go for DDR5, because DDR5 isn't, like, DDR5 was more expensive than DDR4, but now DDR5 has dropped in price and then also has DDR4. So basically DDR5 now is the same as DDR4, maybe like a year ago, and then DDR4 is now even cheaper because they're trying to get rid of some of the DDR4 stock that they still have there. So what I would do is just, if you want to save even more, go with DDR4. It's absolutely fine, but you can get a little bit of performance boost when going DDR5. That's what I would say. Issue Bieber is saying, suggest a CPU for music production, 13600K. Absolutely awesome CPU. Favorite moments, is Kingston NVMe M.2 SSD still good? Also, is wireless keyboard and mouse better for video editors? Yeah, absolutely. I'm using these here. These are my absolute favorite keyboard and mouse, if you don't know what these are yet. This is the Logitech MX Master 3 and then Logitech keys. They are beautiful to type in, and wireless, it's completely fine. Oh, Benji Kaiser there. Hello, Ben. How's it going? Ben just messaged me here as well. Ben, my phone's going off. Ding, 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 ding. Where are we now? Gearbox, for mass video editing, what 13th gen Intel motherboard would you recommend? There isn't necessarily a 13th gen Intel motherboard, because the 13th gen Intel motherboards also work with Z690, for example, which was only 12th gen, but actually is supported there as well. For mass video editing, I'm not sure what mass video editing means, but I think the likes of Gigabyte Aero G, Z690, DDR4 or DDR5 motherboards would be awesome. Or if you want to go high-end motherboards, go with the Z690 ProArt or Z790 ProArt. That would be really, really good then. Yeah, we'll chat later, Ben. We'll chat later. People need answering questions. Mirsha is saying, which budget motherboard is the best? I thought it was Gigabyte Z690 Aero, but it doubled in its price, 440 euros. Can you recommend some budget motherboard pairing with the 13700K and RTX 4080? Mirsha, which country are you looking at? So I can look at the prices in your shop for the budget motherboard there. David is saying David Lawa is saying, I can't decide between the Aorus DDR4 RAM and the speed 37300 or 4400 megahertz. Is it worth the extra 100 euros more? No, definitely not. Go with the 3800. You get maybe a little bit of performance boost, but the 4400 isn't. You're gonna have to run like Gear 2 or something like that, which is not ideal, depending which CPU you're going for as well, but that would be that. Uncle Hola is saying, could you suggest a good monitor for creators from around $100 to $200? Let me have a look. Let's do this here now. I'll just put this on so you can see that display capture. Let's see monitor. Let's see minimum 150, maximum 210. Go. We'll show you which one is good here. Okay, 32-inch 1080p. See how much are they? Pro Art monitor. Oh. Okay, I know this is slightly above your budget range, but this is one of the entry like level creator monitors. But honestly, if you go anything less than that, you're not gonna get a proper monitor. This is like the first proper monitor that you're gonna get. I know $276 is like about 30% more than what your budget there was, but this is just so much better, especially if you're doing any color accurate work. Like, you're not going to get that color accuracy for any of the other monitors. This one is absolutely fantastic. I don't think this is a 10-bit panel. Maybe this is 8-bit plus what's it called that, but this is color accurate coming out from the box, Calvin verified. Honestly, you're not going to go wrong with this Asus Pro Art. Right now it's on a deal as well. I highly recommend you checking out that one. That's what I would do. Benji saying that's a killer monitor. Yep, that is a killer monitor. For that price, you're not going to get a better one. This is a 1440p as well. So what is it, 2.5K. Very low Delta E. That's what I would go for. Dibia scam call. Dibiendu Patarjarche is saying, also Premiere 4K H264 420 video smoothly, but in DaVinci they drop frame. I set the timeline resolution 4K DCI setting. What is the issue? Well, try to set a 1080p timeline if it doesn't work in DaVinci Resolve. I'm not sure what CPU you're also using. Try to use something the likes of go to the like media engine or decode and encode settings and unclick NVIDIA if you're on an Intel CPU, and then save and restart DaVinci Resolve. See if that is any better, because recent versions of DaVinci Resolve aren't so good at choosing whether to use Intel media engines or like AMD, NVIDIA media engines. Better on Nathaniel. No, thank you for being around on the channel. That is awesome. Okay, who's this? James Cote is saying, is it worth upgrading from DDR5 5200 MHz to 6000 RAM running 3900K on a 790 Hero? So you are pretty much balls to the wall system already, but no, I wouldn't do that. You're gonna see maybe a few percentage increase max. Definitely not worth the price. I wouldn't do that. Just stick with that and stop being tempted by all this upgrade thing. Keep your RAM, it's absolutely fine. Can Be Quiet 360 be good for 3900K, as Baby Birdie is saying? No, not really. It's one of the worst AIOs actually for the price. Go with the likes of Arctic. I know, depends if you like that type of style, but I would go with Arctic. Frame moments, is Kingston NVMe M.2 SSD good? Depending on which model. They've got some very high-end models like the KC3000 and the Kingston Fury M.2 SSDs. They're very, very good. But then there's some of the lower ones that are okay as well. I'm actually recommending the Kingston NV2 for the price point. Like the 1 terabyte model costs like $50 or something like that. Can't really beat for the price. Not like dead fast, not like dead fancy spec, but for that price, really can't beat that. Tech Tech with Massum is saying, which CPU performance is best, 5600G versus Intel i5 12400? I would go with the 12400. Especially for video editing, it will be much better. My Quinta, is 120 gigabytes DDR5 Dominator Platinum and 7950X a good upgrade over 128 gigabytes DDR4 and 15950X for 3D rendering and 3D modeling? What's your thoughts? No. Just because the 7950X will most likely not even run any XMP on your 128 gigs of Dominator Platinum, just because the memory controller there isn't that good. The 5950X is a much better bang for buck in terms of price, or like performance per watt is much better in there. I would leave that. Depending if you're doing a lot of CPU rendering, then I'd keep what you have. This is a killer one. If you can upgrade or change to GPU rendering, then get like a 4090 or something. That will be a huge thing. ROG75 is saying, sorry, motherboard Tomahawk 450. I'm not sure which question. I might have missed that now in there. 4K Gen is saying, hello Technotis. Before I start, GC, congrats with your channel. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work. My question is, I have a 9900K pair with the GTX 1080 16 gigs DDR4 41. Should I upgrade? AMD for Intel at the moment. Thanks. I'm not sure what you're doing. If you're doing content creation, then yeah, the i5 13600K is a huge upgrade for that i9, for example. Much more power efficient, so much more power. You could even keep your DDR4 16 gigs, but you most likely want to upgrade that to 32 gigs at least. Gearbox has to go. Thanks for staying for the chat. Thank you very much. Mist is saying 5950X plus 3080 Ti 900 USD. Is that for the combo of this? Or 4080 1600 USD? Also suggest me fans, please. Currently using Fractal Meshify 2. Might buy 9 fans. If you want budget fans, look at just Fractal, Arctic P12 or P14 fans. Super, super cheap. Like for less than $10, something like that. A fan, best bang for buck fans you can get, really. If you want like RGB and higher fans, you'll have to upgrade through a little bit of a, different fans there, and you'll pay loads more. But that's what I would do. Mist, I'm not sure what you are doing there. have you decided the 5950X, is that what you're going to go for? And then whether you're going 3080 Ti or 4080, if that is the question, the 4080 will be quite a lot better. More power efficient, really. And you'll get performance boost. The 16 gigs of VRAM will be nice there as well. Tech Mason, is entry-level video editing in i5 12400 possible? Yes, it is. Huanix is saying, is 32 gigs of RAM enough for content creation? Yeah, depending what you're doing, 32 gigs is enough. ROG75 is saying, I have Tomahawk 450 CPU, AMD 5600X, 2060. I use Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and I do video editing. What should I upgrade first? Upgrade your motherboard and CPU. CPU to the likes of 13600K and motherboard like to say 690 something, and then you'll get quite a big performance boost. And leave the GPU, that's completely fine. I don't do video editing. Is that what he's saying? You don't do video editing. If you don't do video editing, then yeah, especially I would do that. A Day on the Road is saying, is the RTX 3060 Ti still good for video editing on DaVinci Resolve with 13600K and 32 gigs of RAM? Lovely videos, by the way. Thank you very much for saying that. Thanks for being around here. It is pretty good, yes, in DaVinci Resolve. You might want to go with the 3060. It's slightly less powerful, but you get more VRAM, so it's kind of a weird section over there. Huarix is saying, is overclocking worth the extra cost? Absolutely not, especially as a creator. Frog Dog is saying, what's your personal preference, Aero or ProArt? ProArt. And here's the difference. Even though Aero has usually better M.2 cooling, but the ProArt has much better BIOS kind of organization. So if you ever need to go in BIOS to find or do anything, it's much better. The funny thing is, I'm actually using the X570S Aero G motherboard in our editing system because we're running still Ryzen system. I'm very much looking forward to upgrading to 13th gen of Intel hopefully soon. But yeah, that's that. Both very good though. Doesn't matter which one you go for. Huarix is saying, so a Z690, Z790 board isn't worth it? Yeah, it is, because it's not just for overclocking. Your CPU will be, you'll get much more bandwidth from the chipset, which means you get better connectivity, more M.2 storage, and so on. So in a way, that is worth it, because B660 or B760 don't have as much. Guarav is saying, which is better for Blender, Adobe DaVinci i5 12400 versus Ryzen 7 5800X? I would go with the 12400. See if you can get 13400, just because you'll have much better upgrade options available than the Ryzen 7 5800X. The Ryzen 5000 platform, unless you are already on it, is kind of like a dead platform, and I think 12th gen will be better for you if you ever want to upgrade in the future. Okay, just reminding you guys, if you want to ask a question again, tag me, because then I can see. If you're just chatting to each other, don't worry about tagging, but just tag on me if you have any questions. ROG75 is saying, I do video editing. What CPU do you recommend? Go with the 13600K if that is within your budget. That's like an amazing board. Huarix, what is a good SID Z690, Z790 motherboard for under $200. Have a look at like the best bang for buck kind of in that area would be Gigabyte Z690 DS3H AX DDR4 motherboard. Have a look at that one. Well, a whole nother questions now. Gilang is saying, is 6 gigabytes of VRAM enough for running the advanced CAD fluently? Well, fluently, depending on your project size and all that, I'd say it's an okay, but go 8 gigs minimum. What is the best species for Unity game development and Blender modeling? Is Asus Zephyrus G15 okay? It's an okay, but you'd get obviously much better much more performance if you just built a PC rather than going laptop. Film Love Photography. Oh my word, I'm missing this now. A good and cheap motherboard for 13600K without GPU but 2 monitors. Thanks for videos. Yeah, go for the same Gigabyte Z. I'll show you this here. Gigabyte Z690 DS3H AX DDR4 motherboard. There we go. So this motherboard here, that's like a pretty good bang for buck for that price, especially here now when it's discounted. I'll leave it in the description below as well. If you want to pick this up, then you can do that, and I'll get a small commission with no extra cost to you. You don't have to use links, but I'll leave it just if you're trying to find it. Budget Gigabyte Z690 motherboard. There we go. I've left it in the description below, so you can check it out over there. By the way, if you're just watching this, please hit that like button. It actually makes a difference. There's 98 likes right now. Can we get it to 100? Help me out here. That would be good. I'll swap this back so you can see your nice chats. There we go, 108. Boom. That's what we're talking about. Thanks for liking the video. It actually helps a ton. Okay, Marek is saying 10900K, 5.3 gigahertz. Whoa, that's a good overclock for you there. Basic video editing and Photoshop office work and gaming. I know that even a 13600K is better, but I just love having an i9. But 3900 feel like overkill to me. Just keep that 10900K honestly as long as you can. If you are doing the properly, like working on it, and you really feel like your work is getting hindered by the performance, if what you're doing right now still gets done on this, don't upgrade. If you feel like your work is suffering because you don't have the upgrade, then I would upgrade, if that makes sense. Apex Raven is saying, is it worth it upgrading from Ryzen 7 3800 XT to Ryzen 7 5800X? No. 3090 with 24 gigs of RAM or 4070 Ti for DaVinci Resolve, 3090 if they're the same price. Okay, chat box can be much larger. Well, let's do that. Okay, people are saying why don't we do that live? So let me do that now. Let me just wait a second. Let's put that there. Let's make the chat box bigger on the side. Wait a second, I'll just let's do 800. Okay, there we go. How's that? Is that better? so the chat box can be bigger, so you guys can all see everything. Alrighty. Apex Raven, and what about upgrading from 5800 XT to Ryzen 5900X? I'm not sure what you are doing. Are you doing video editing, content creation? Because that's what I'm assuming you're here for. Then yes, the 5900X is quite a big jump, and it's a very, very good upgrade there. Much better than the 5800X. Subtle Studios is saying performance difference in 13600 versus 13700 in Maya and Blender. There is quite a big difference there. Let me look at my benchmark stats here, roughly what they would be, because I have the 13600K and 13700 both benchmarked. I know it's 13600, which would be slightly slower, but I have 3500 benchmarks there as well. So let me have a look. Blender here. Okay, what do we have? 13700 and then 13500. Okay, there is quite a big difference. Yes, there's quite a big difference there actually. 13600 and 13900, yeah, still about 15-20% maybe increase, something like that you'd get from 13600 to 13700. Zoom it. Zoom what? What do I zoom? Zoom myself in, or zoom the... Okay, something like that. Is that what we're saying? Is that better now? What do you want to zoom in? I don't think the chat box I can zoom in. It will only leave like that. If I zoom in, they'll start to go very, very fast. Whoa, my goodness, I missed a lot of questions now. Yanis from Latvia. Seems like my AMD Ryzen 9 5900X is still doing the job for Photoshop and video. How long do you think it would last? My usual cycle is 3 to 4 years. I'm not sure when you purchase this, but keep it going. You've got quite a high-end system. Run this more to the ground. No need to upgrade that system quite yet. How is a Data XPG Core Reactor PSU? I think it's quite alright. Have a look at the 80 plus ratings. If it did 80 plus gold or 80 plus titanium, it's quite alright. But I don't know if it blows up yet. Core i5 12400 or 13500 for After Effects. 13500, much better. Ray, could you please tell me if I should upgrade? I don't know who Ray is. Maybe you're talking to someone else there. But should I upgrade my ProAd Z690 to ProAd Z790 motherboard? Absolutely not. Don't do that. If you're already running the Z690, you're literally getting zero performance. Don't need to do that, especially if this 13700K is already working there. Is a 4080 and 13900KS a good pair? Don't go with the 13900KS. Honestly, it's slightly waste of money unless you have unlimited budget and you're asking me what is the ultimate, CPU you can get. Then that's that. Which motherboard brand lasts longer on reliability scale? G2I Live is asking that. That's a very good question because depending on the model, every company has sometimes a little bit of a dodgy model, but personally I think which motherboard brand has the best kind of track record for motherboards. For me, I'd say Asus. Produce the Gains is saying, is 1000 watts PSU bad idea for 13900K and 4090 for gaming, or should I go for the 1200 1300 watt PSU? No, it's completely fine. Let me put it this way, right? Even if you had your CPU and GPU 100% utilized in gaming, right? Which it won't be. You would get maybe 300 watts from the CPU, 450 watts from the GPU, so you'd get 750 watts. You have extra 250 watts for the rest of the system, your RGB and everything else. Even if you have all your fans run at 100%, it's going to be fine. It's completely fine. Joshua Hurst is saying, I've got the i7-12700 and the MSI RTX 3060 and want to take an advantage of the architecture. Would you explain the settings in Resolve? Yeah. Okay, let me see if I've got Resolve here. Yeah. I'll open this so I can show you this in here in a moment. Frame moments 3060 versus 3060 Di for DaVinci. This is a hard question. I'd go with the 3060 Ti. Kevin O. Dubhayagan is saying RTX 3090 versus 4090, which is better for rendering 4K video. 4090. Actually, where was it? Joshua is saying, can you explain something there for me? Do you know what? The DaVinci Resolve settings, what I would do is I would actually, I'll post this video there because I've already made a video, so there's no need for me to actually, sorry, there's no need for me, this is for you. Sound is clipping a bit. Janice is saying sound is clipping. Is it? It's not on the red. Let me know if it is clipping now. It should be fine. Joshua, yeah, watch that video. That's like the DaVinci Resolve settings there. Alrighty. Goldman Designs is saying, is it worth upgrading from 3900X with 4080 and 64 gigs of DDR4 to a 3900K with 128 gigs of DDR5? I'm a filmmaker mainly in DaVinci and After Effects. Yes, it is. If you're doing this for a job, Goldman, yeah, definitely. This is a huge difference there. Do you know what? Yeah. I would do that. Samuel is saying, better to do 2 sticks 64 gigabytes DDR5 with XMP or 4 sticks 128 gigs without XMP. Professional video editing and coloring in the use. I would, if you are in the high end, I would go 4 sticks 128 gigs without XMP. I think it's completely better because depending the projects you are running there, looks like you've already got sorry about that. Oh, it gets a bit dry there. I'm assuming you are running the likes of 13900K. If you are, then yeah, 28 gigs will be fine. Because when you're working with 6K, 8K footage timelines or something like that in Premiere Pro, you can easily see over 64 gigs used. Bromovich is saying 3090 Supreme X. Samuel is saying, yeah, I think 13900K with 128 gigs without XMP will be better. Bromovich is saying, I have a 5900X and a 3060. I'm a professional photographer, so mainly use Lightroom and Photoshop. I play Call of Duty. What do you recommend as an upgrade? Well, if you want better photo editing, then upgrade your CPU to like 13700K, for example. You'll see quite a big boost there. But at the same time, you don't have a bad system right now, right? So we're talking about maybe 30-40% increase maximum, right? Which is not a lot. Maybe even 30% maximum, something like that. So if you really want your gaming to be better, just upgrade the GPU, but that's that. Studio Waves. I'm not sure if you're saying waiting for a reply. I don't see your comment. Put @technotice in there so I can actually see your question. Gary B is saying, hi, first time to live from Arizona desert. Wow, using 4 sticks of RAM on AMD, really an issue compared to Intel's memory controllers. Yes, definitely. Which PSU is good for 750 watts? There is NZXT 750 watt PSUs, some other ones, completely fine. As long as it's 80 plus gold, then that's completely fine. I want to pull out this here as well, because there was some interesting comments I wanted to do in here. Let me change to this here. Okay, so this is so relaxing. Glad you think so. Jose Luis is saying, my question got skipped on the live stream, so I just deleted my comment and exited out lol. I go through that a lot most as I was a shadow banned, but I was able to see my comment on the screen as you were reading the ones above and below my comment. Look, sorry, Jose. There was a lot of comments. I'm sure I skipped over a lot of them. I don't have anything personally against you. Please leave your comment like on the comments or anywhere, something like that, and then I could answer that. I'll just reply to you as well, so you'll know I've got you. If you Arc GPUs, yeah, they are would be very helpful. Yes, I'm trying to get hands on them, just waiting to get them on. There was a few questions here. Which is better for photo editing, Ryzen 7 5700G or Intel i5 12600K? Go for the 12600K, but if you actually can, go with the 13600K, which is even better. Tech with Masium, entry-level 3D modeling in Blender, blah, blah, blah. Which processor will be best for $200? Do we have 13500 maybe for that price? No, that's about $300. 12600K, I would go with this one. John Gaylor saying, new build, Lightroom, Photoshop, struggling to choose SSD. 2TB OS plus 1TB cache, 2TB catalog, 4TB project. Prefer single brand for management software. Western Digital SN850X series, okay, or other suggestions? Yeah, very good. Very good drives. Because you have 4TB projects, depending how much like photos are you dumping, John, on the drives. If you are dumping more than 30% of the drive daily, right, then I would recommend going with Seagate FireQ to 530 drives. But if not, then the SN850s are fine. Has Intel discrete GPUs improved after driver update? Yes, a lot. Oh wow, there's a lot now here. Where is Marcus Vollens? I'm building a creative PC with 7950X but can't find 4090 in stock at the reasonable price. What is the next best GPU? Oh, I can't use Windows 11 with 7950 compatibility issues. So Marcus, I'm not sure what type of creator you are. If you're a video creator or photo creator, you're probably going to get better bang for your buck when going with 13900K. Have a look at my 7950X review. But have I heard any compatibility issues with Windows 11? Not really. I've just seen compatibility issues with just AMD sometimes, but it could be something else as well. Studio Waves. My system, i7 8th gen with GPU Quadro M2000 with 32 gigs of RAM, facing huge time-consuming tasks while converting Canon R5 RAW photos in JPEG in Canon DPP software on my SSD. Okay, what's the question there? Hi, I don't know if this question has been asked before. If money is no problem, which of the following motherboards is recommended? Asus, Maximum, Extreme versus ProArt. So the ROG Maximus Extreme is a little bit better board. You'd say it's got more features, but the ProArt is very good as well on the same time. But the thing is, the Maximus Extreme usually is double the price of ProArt. So you asked if money is not an issue, the ROG Extreme is better. Also, if both of these are the same chipset, if that makes sense. Marcus Vollens is saying, thank you, I'm a video creator. Oh, dude, if you're a video creator, please go with the 13900K. Have a look at my reviews on both of them. It will be such an upgrade compared to the 7950X. It's much better. I'm talking about 20-30% better and the lower price point as well. John 90SK, should I consider buying older dual Xeon service system or newer gaming CPU for virtualization purposes? I'd go for the newer ones just because they're more electricity efficient. Framed Moments, Antec 503 case for 12700K. I'm not sure which case this is. Let's have a look. Antec 503 PC case. Is it this one? Which one do you mean? Antec 503 case. Is it this one? Benji Kaiser is saying 3900K is a beast. Oh yeah, it's a beast. Ben, are you using 3900K right now? Did you use the 3900K yet? Is this the Ben? Is this the case people are wondering? My mic's just... Whoa. Hey. Hey. Check, check. Hey. Hey. Okay, let me turn this down. Hey. Is that better now? Sorry, I don't know why my mic went just so loud. That's weird. Very, very weird. Hey. Okay. I think my mic is soon dying as well, but probably the scene. Oh yeah, good point. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, maybe the scene. That's right. The scene. Is this the one we were talking about? Yeah, sorry dudes. Yeah, I saw that between my scenes, the actual fader of the sound thingy, my brain's getting fried, was actually lower. Yes, that's the case. Yeah, it's an alright case, I guess. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty cool, I guess, if you like that. Boron Chan is saying, I'm planning to get a desktop. Currently, I'm using a laptop. I mostly play games. My max range for games starts from Minecraft to control what CPU. Games, sorry, I don't know that. Studio Waves. Any upgrade which help less Canon R5 photos, 1 hour converting RAW to JPEG. Upgrade your CPU. So go with a 13600K, 12600K, something like that, Studio Waves. That will be a huge, huge upgrade for you. Let me see. I want to end with this little bit here. No, maybe we'll just. I'm not sure if I get any more questions, but we're gonna have to end very, very soon. But I just want to end with like few thoughts and ideas, what you can expect from the channel, and just if you're interested, the hardcore fans, what's coming up, what's some of the plans for this year. Number one, biggest thing, a little bit of kind of vision for the channel is I've come to the point on the channel where I can't actually run it from my home any moment. This is just a small bedroom here. If you've noticed, this is slightly changed from the previous studio that we were in like about 6 months ago, because we had to move to a little bit of a bigger house because our family's grown, the 3 kids now. And now I've realized one of the smaller kids that we have actually needs this bedroom now. And I'm going to have to move out. So there is a big vision for this year to actually find an office and move this out. But doing that also, there's huge costs involved with that, property pricing and all that, what's going on. So that's some of the things. I have a few ideas how to run that and maybe raise a little bit of money for that. And I've mentioned this in the latest poll on the channel. Not sure if you saw the raffle idea that I had. So basically, I'm planning to raffle away some of the gear and stuff that I have on the channel, or perhaps getting some gear and things. And the reason for that is to just fund some of the projects to get a new place, our own studio where we can grow in the team, in the size, in production, in some of the things, because I've come to the point where, just so you know, this TechNotice channel is the biggest PC creator channel in the world. Like, yes, some gaming channels will touch a little bit on that, but solely for PC tech, this is the biggest in the world. And there's so much content that has been requested from me and what we'd like to do, but there isn't enough team and things for that. Maybe you're watching this and you're thinking, you know what, I would love to be part of TechNotice. Please let me know your ideas. Send me an email. Why do you think you would be a good worker for TechNotice? Because it doesn't necessarily need to be located here around me. If you think you can add value, add and join the cause for this channel, then I would love to know from you. Let me know what you want to do there. Okay, hey, how's this? Is that any better? How is it going? Is it only one channel coming through? Okay, no, it's still alright. Maybe slightly quieter, but my transmitter and receiver died, so thanks for that. Okay, rip the no sound. Mic is dead. Yeah, the Rode died, so we'll have to recharge them later. One channel. Yeah, it is one channel. That is seriously annoying. Is it because maybe it doesn't? Hey, yeah, there's something's going on there. Let me finish up with this. I'm gonna put this on as well, so maybe you'll get a little bit of a better feed. Whoa, that is loud. Hey, check. Okay, now you'll get a little bit more airy kind of income. Let me see if we can get this in here. Alrighty, how's this sound? Any better, guys? That is good now. Back in the room. Voila. How's it going? Yeah, it's the connection. Yanis is saying excellent. This sound is excellent now. I'm glad I made Janice happy. So if you think you would be, you've got some ideas and you would love to perhaps even work for TechNotice, I would love to know from you. That's that. BT POS. Do you know what? I'm gonna make you a mod right now because you asked me before. There we go. You are a mod now on the channel. You can see and mod this BT POS. There we go. Does dual graphics card setup and outperform a high-end single card? Not really, but basically, my friends, that's one thing. I would love to produce more content about budget PC builds that are coming out as well. I mentioned this before, but we've done some high-end builds, and we're gonna keep doing some of these there as well. Are you answering any more questions? Yes, I'll give you 5 more minutes for questions. I would love to answer some more questions if you have any, but there's tea time for us, which means in English, Northern England here, it's dinner time in about 5 minutes. But there's going to be high-end builds. We're going to do some collabs with some very high-end channels, but also budget builds, because I think this year will be more people looking for budget builds and upgrades for that. So that's that. Manly is, where are you from, my man? Originally, I'm from Estonia, but I live in the Northern England, and that's where I am based right now. Narsil is saying, thank you for your videos. I built a system. What GPU should I get for 13600K? Learning simple 4K video editing in DaVinci. Try to get a 3060 or something like that. If you've got more budget, go with a 4070 Ti. Nathan Dowdy is saying, what's your favorite setup for DaVinci editing Blackmagic 6K Pro footage? Apologies if this has been asked already. So, favorite setup for DaVinci. I'm not sure what you mean by favorite setup. Do you mean the PC setup? I would probably go with like 13600K and then RTX 4080. That will be like a pretty good bang there. Few is saying, make your Discord server, BT Boss. Anyone let me know if you'd like me to make a Discord server. I don't want to make just something because everyone else is making it. I'm only making this if this is actually adds value to the community or for us as creators there. So I'm not sure there. I'm thinking, so Frew there is saying, I'm thinking of building or paying for a build, CCL for example. Yeah, CCL has a build there as well. Very interesting. Running Maya 2D and video editing. So far looking at some Fractal North 13900K and 4090, but which motherboard would you recommend? Frew11E, send me an email. Maybe we can make your build on the channel instead of you sending this to CCL or getting someone else build this to you. Why don't we do it? Maybe we can do this. We can, because I think this could be quite interesting build there, quite high-end parts. So let me know. Send me an email. See what happens. Yeah, people saying AV1 encoding there maybe for Discord, but not seeing much there. Okay, I want to finish this here. I just want to say one last time, thank you very much guys for all your support and, you know, tuning in and everything. It's just great to see you. That's why I want to do this as well, more questions and answering and trying to help you guys as well. So if I didn't get your question answered right now, right, I'm going to end the live stream. Here's what you're going to do. Go to the comments of this live stream, because this will be still published on the channel. The live chat will be ended, but publish it on the comments of this video, and then I can, for the next live stream, maybe we can do one next week, we can answer all your questions there if I didn't get any of these answered. So that will be like massive. I think there's a lot of people who are wondering about the same things, as you can see, and people thinking, what about my situation? Should I upgrade this or that? Sometimes it's nice to see someone saying don't upgrade, because you're often being tempted into this marketing thing where, yeah, I need to upgrade, I think I need an upgrade, but you don't actually. Often, sometimes you think you do, but you don't. Can I timestamp all the questions? If anyone wants to do the timestamping and all the questions, I don't know what I will do for you. I'll tag you in the comment section below. I'm not sure if I will have time to timestamp this, but I will cut the beginning bit out where we were all waiting there, so it will be all linked in there so people can look at all the questions. What was that? Because there was like about 100 questions or something we answered, so that's what that. I think. Thanks guys. Thanks Janice for keeping eye on my audio levels there, and nice to see that someone knows that. It's nice for that. And I'll see you next time. Really appreciate you guys, and I will see you soon.
I'll put the hookies. Oh, that's a bit too loud. I'll put the hookies segment in the end here as well, so we can get another little sponsor segment for this going. Okay, let's see. Looking for a cheap way to license your Windows? Check out Hookeys through the links in the video description. Make sure to use the code TN20 to get a 30% off. Paste the license to the activation settings and you're all done. This license is for Windows 10, but you can upgrade it to Windows 11 for free. They also offer Microsoft Office 19 license. Use the same code TN20 to get a 30% off. Check out hookeys.com in the video description below.